Hello and welcome, dear listener, to the Stargazers podcast. Come and join us by the fire. The stars are out, and they look absolutely beautiful tonight.
Welcome everybody to the crossover episodes.
Ooh,
Jane and I haven't decided what we're calling the podcast this week, but Jane, what should we call the podcast this week?
A meeting of the minds.
Really good.
Also,
this is
An
the
interview,
meeting of
an interview with...
Yes, meeting of the minds, an interview with Stars Align. What's the full title of your podcast?
The
Stargazers podcast.
The Stargazers podcast.
There's a robin right there.
Robin, my favourite bird. Hello. Beautiful.
In case you hadn't worked out by now, we are just outside
We are
for this
on
one.
location in our garden.
The sun is setting. We probably won't see any stars because it is actually getting brighter.
Does the moon count as a star?
No.
No.
What about in the game?
Oh, but it is very pretty.
It is in the game.
It is the source tile.
That's corporate synergy.
Corporate synergy.
Between us and the moon?
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely.
Ain't she pretty?
Oh, she is.
Oh my. We love the moon. Yes, we do.
Do you want a better introduction of anything?
I mean, we're just here. We're making a board game.
Yeah.
In which you take a persona of a god. They're all real petty and just kind of a bit irritating. And you're in a competition that doesn't matter to prove who's the strongest and best god by making the most impressive constellation in the night sky. Oh.
That sounds delightful.
It is.
And it plays like a dream.
You have actually. That is interesting. You've played a fair bit of this board game, Jaden.
I played it like 3 times.
That's a fair bit. That's more than most people
It's
in the
true.
world.
And our game did go on for much longer than it should have.
Well, yeah, we had a nice
We had a
cooperative
lovely-
game.
A friendly badminton rally of a game. What is your role in Stars Align, Sylvie?
Thank you,
Alright.
Robot Jaden, that's replaced Jaden in this very moment. I'm on mechanics, and my lovely, I was going to say co-host, but I guess we're technically, we're all hosts.
And we all hosted.
We're all
hosts
hosts here.
here.
With the most.
With the most?
Hostess with the mostest.
Alright, well, you can introduce yourself, Kaylin. You're a person.
I am indeed. Well, maybe I'm not a person. Who knows?
Allegedly.
But allegedly,
Robot.
I am a person.
Robot.
We haven't checked.
you, man.
But I'm colleague and also the game art designer. To be fair, we kind of just work in tandem to each other. There's a lot of crossover between our roles, but yeah, that's me,
We do what needs to get done
pretty
in
much.
making a board game.
Now you introduce us.
Yeah.
It's a give and
And
take.
sitting across from me, we have from the hit new game Butterfly Machine. Is that what it's called? My
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
that,
yeah.
that is what we call the game.
From the hit new game Butterfly
From-
Machine, we have.
Soft bones.
We have Aidan James Joseph Adair Burns. That's my full legal name.
It's not even a bit.
And Jaden Jones. That's my full legal name.
We have a pretty interesting crossover here because our game kind of features themes of astrology and space in the sky, whereas to my knowledge, and I may be wrong, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys seem to approach your topic from like a very binary point of view.
For the listeners who typically expected this podcast to be a simple episode of the Stargazers podcast chronicling the development of the Stars Align board game, Jen and I are currently in the throes and the midst and the depths and the trenches of
Quite.
developing Butterfly Machine, which is a simple 3D puzzle game about a robot that can reprogram its own brain. I am responsible for doing the programming and doing most of the design, and Jaden is doing the art and all of the marketing.
I'm an artiste of
Artiste.
sorts when I feel like it, when I have time for it.
When you
Not
have time
yet,
for it, when you're not in the podcast minds.
when I'm not incredible producer.
Yeah.
I have seen your Butterfly Machine logo though, and your website's looking really good so far.
Thank you.
It is a
thank you.
really, really good logo.
Thank
Yeah.
you. It's my finest work.
Yeah. What are you two up to last week?
Well, honestly, quite a lot. So we skipped out on our week 5 podcast because we had a lot of illness circulating, and also a lot of work that just needed to get done.
Yeah.
But it can mostly be boiled down to we did a lot of color tests for our tiles. we also did a lot of watercolor print. At least on my end, I did a lot of watercolor paintings to try and figure out what we want our box style to be. And ooh, this actually could be fun. I went to Creative Services and spoke to Celeste, lovely lady running it, and asked her to print 55 tiles for me, which she seemed a little daunted by as to how I'd acquire this wood and MDF, and I assured that it would all go onto Adam's bill.
Put it on Adam's card.
Just put it on the Adam tab.
So it truly is only me out of this collective
Yeah.
going to the Science and Engineering Fair, so I'll report back, see how it went.
Yeah.
You're the only person here who believes in science.
It reminds you of a thing we were talking
It
about.
reminds me of the thing we were talking about last night, where I was advising Jaden to put in less effort on all of the branding stuff, because Jaden's really good at the branding, but Jaden also has other things to do that aren't the branding.
You see, sweet listeners, I crashed out
Mildly.
because I realised I haven't really touched much of the in-game art yet, and it's getting closer to our internal deadline.
Our internal deadline was get the game playable front to back with most of the art in it. And I am on track to have a version of the game with the art, but unless Jaden wants to live in the Blender mines and absolutely no life the game for the next 3 weeks, I don't know if we're hitting the deadline strictly.
No, I think a more realistic version of it is character model and shaders. UI will probably still look how it looks at the moment.
Which, for our audio listeners, is MS Paint.
MS Paint. And I think tutorial level
Yeah,
will be done.
that's the most important part of the game. It's
Important
probably the
part of the
only
game.
part of the game that most people will play, because they'll walk up to the booth at the degree show and say, "Hi, I'd like to play the game," and then they'll play for 5 minutes and realize this is a puzzle game. It's too loud in here, and Adam hasn't given me any headphones, so I can't focus.
Adam, about that,
Adam, I'm gonna be super honest with you. I'm just gonna bring headphones to the show and plug them in, and if people don't want to use headphones, they can unplug them.
I suppose we're kind of in an opposite direction to you, because we've focused on a lot of actually creating the game, iterating, and to the point where we have the board game pretty, put down. That's not the phrase I was going for. But
Pretty settled.
Thank you. Pretty settled.
That's impressive.
But we haven't
It's
actually
week 6.
gotten onto... Well, we've done a little bit of branding. I think
Yeah.
you've done... How have you found the website?
The website is fine. I trapped myself
Oh,
by using... There's a lovely, lovely theme. It was already somewhat cosmic themed, and it was very, very nicely presented. And I was like, okay, this is great. I can have a nice head start on the website design. I will need to do less to alter this to make it what we want. And then I've slowly realized it said you need to use this AI tool that I blanket refused to sign up for and use to edit. So I'm struggling and losing some of the possible edits I would be able to do easily in WordPress because of their insistence on use of the AI tool. So I'm sort of brute forcing my way around that a bit, but I may have to restructure the website a bit to get around it, which should be quick, or I can sort of grit my teeth and remake what I've got currently in a different theme to be able to edit it more and have it more custom. What bird is
I
that?
don't know.
It's a little wren, I believe.
Oh, red.
Mm-hmm.
This is delightful.
We get a lot of birds in our garden.
We do.
So we can talk about also later. I just remembered a thing in the week because we can talk about the end of year meeting with the branding people.
Jen and I and the branding team, we had a meeting with the graphic designers in Studio 3015 to discuss the branding for the degree show. We pulled up with the Miro board. We said we want colored pages. They said that's too expensive. We said I'm not going to argue with you.
They said we could print them.
And I said,
Okay,
Okay.
meant nothing to me.
I don't really know very much about graphic design. Yep.
And then we've semi-commissioned Caitlin,
Yes, we've commissioned Caitlin. Caitlin's on the team basically.
basically.
Yeah, I'm honorary on the team, Art Monkey.
You're doing more than the people who are actually on the team.
Ooh, I'm honoured, I believe.
I don't think you should be.
Yeah, I had a pretty fun time distracting everyone in the studio yesterday by going round and forcing people to sit down while I sketched them very quickly. So I got at least a couple more pages done of some little character icons, which I believe Eden should have sent to you. Eden?
I've
Gotta kill
heard
him.
nothing.
Eden will be sending that to you soon. Oh no, forgive me. Eden put it on the mirror board, not to you.
Oh, the mirror
The
board. I've
reason I
not
didn't
checked the
send
mirror
them is
board.
'cause my phone is imploding from storage, and I
Ah.
cannot take any more photos, which meant just turn it into a still life session, which was, yeah, a lot of fun.
Last week on the programming front was mostly based around me building the new camera system, which is basically you have a little module in the robot's brain that can detect the positions of new cameras that are around the world. And anyway, I was programming the camera system for the game because part of the themes of the game is, as derived from the themes of the game, we want as many of the game systems to be modular as possible. So you have little components in your brain that you connect up to create systems, but you can also move them around. We can't have that much depth in the game because I am only one person and I'm programming this piece by piece foolishly on a strict time schedule. But I did manage to get a little bit of extra modularity in where you can disconnect the camera module from your vision module, and that will make you switch to your emergency backup camera. You can print various values to the screen by inputting them into the vision module, and all of the other modules will yell at you if you connect the wrong input type. I created an on-screen error message system, kind of modeled after some subtitles on some foreign films. It doesn't look very good, but it's functional, and honestly, it's probably going to stay that way until release.
And I am on the case soon to make the shader for the first-person camera to make it unusable, ideally.
Mostly
Mostly
unusable.
I'm thinking of making it like color clamped to 2 colors.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, so
Yeah.
you can one-bit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I like that.
Yeah.
Because that would stop Toby from playing the entire game in first person, which he loves to do.
Loves to do
I'm not
that.
sure why. And, last but certainly not least, for the tasks I was doing last week, I spent about a solid afternoon adding not exactly quality of life features, but quality of developer life features to the game, where it makes it easier to make more of the game. I'm making the game more scalable, essentially by reducing the amount of extra work I have to do to add more stuff to the game. For example, if I wanted to add a new thing that could move in the game world, before I would have to connect like 20 things up and it would be a nightmare, and then all the error messages would yell at me saying, you forgot this, you forgot this. And now, most of that stuff is just done for you automatically, and it makes building the game infinitely easier.
Nice.
I'm very happy with that. That was most of my work for last week.
And I am almost done with the website. Also, all the podcasts that are up on YouTube are up on the website now, so you could be listening to this on the web, the other web, not the YouTube.
We'll add a link in post.
Yeah. And I'll, in the description of, if you're listening to this on the website, there'll be links to stargazing, social media stuff.
We'll link you, of course.
Now, Jaden, what have we been up to this week?
Going to a concert.
Yeah, Jaden and I are going to go see Porter Robinson, the Smile tour tomorrow in London. Very excited. Yeah,
Fun factoid.
fun factoid.
The song Russian Roulette, the music video for it off that album, was one of the original inspirations when coming up with games for this project.
And I came up with a pretty neat game that we scrapped.
Put it in the bin.
Put it in the trash because I liked this one more.
Killed your darling.
My darlings they were looking too unkilled.
Have you killed many darlings on this project?
On this project?
Plenty.
Yes. Earlier this week I was envisioning ways to extra tutorialize the camera module, and the idea I had was, okay, I'm going to build a secondary camera system that's like way further up high, that will have like just that will run off like a different like in-world camera circuit, so you need a different module to connect to it. And I'm going to have an external vision module connected up to a screen that can display its own signal from cameras and its own error messages. And after thinking about that for 30 minutes, I scrapped both features and simplified it all just to adding one extra camera in at a weird angle to signify a puzzle existed.
That's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I haven't really had to kill many darlings outside of thinking, oh god, that's going to take me so long to code, and I don't want to do it, I'm not adding it in.
Most of the darling killing was in last semester's lead up,
Yes.
the design
Yes.
stage.
Yeah. We have one notable dead darling.
Oh, tell me about
And
your darling.
it's a darling we despise. It's the timer tile. It is a tile that we've probably mentioned a couple times on the podcast before, never explained what it does.
Yeah, so this is a good
So this is a
opportunity.
world premiere.
World premiere of
World
what the
World
timer
premiere.
tile was. It went through a couple iterations. We tried to save it. It was first, every turn it rotated. It was a Y shape, so it had 3 routes, and every turn it rotated. Terrible.
That sounds like a lot of admin, Sylvie.
It sounds like a lot of admin. It just was too much for the players to do.
Annoying and bad.
Annoying and bad. Then we tried to save it using our great developer minds and said, what if it only rotated at the end when you were doing the scoring? And it was worth some more points. My god, the birds really didn't like that
I
idea.
hate that
Yeah,
idea.
they also really hate this timer tile.
My boards.
And unfortunately, we tried it. We were like, it's just not fun. It's
Yeah.
not worth it. I got 3 points and I had to think about and do math whole game. I could have just played a black hole. So we killed it. And it's
Yeah.
dead now.
It's dead. Lives in our memory though. It kind of haunts us whenever we're having a bad time with a tile. We think back to that timer tile. So
It could never get worse than that.
yeah. But otherwise, I guess we've had quite a few. I guess what counts as killing a darling? Because we've had a lot of ideas and concepts that have just never come to fruition because we've iterated and playtested them. So I suppose it's the closest we've gotten to killing them.
I think any idea that you're tied to and you like, but then think can't do that for realistic reasons is,
Yeah.
is my idea of killing a darling.
Yeah.
Mm.
We've had a lot of just, hey, all 12 different ideas get merged into one and we see which one's the best. So we're doing a lot of like tournament arcs.
Or
for
the
tiles.
Skittle game, where you crush the Skittles together to find the strongest Skittle. Oh no, I think it's M&M's is technically done with.
To bring it back into theme, this is another ploy for you to get the house to watch The Wild Robot.
Thinking about
Context.
watching the Wild
Oh,
I
Robot.
have a new segment just for this episode only, called Caitlin's Movie Zone.
No, I believe have I explained? I believe I explained perhaps to you, to Jaden and Aiden, the concept of Wild Robot and how it relates to your topic. But Sylvie, do you know much about the movie?
I've seen YouTube clips and I'm aware of it's a robot that then had its programming mess up and then tried to work itself out.
Yeah, well, it's not so much that its programming got messed up, it's that this robot was built to fulfill a task. No matter what task you give it, it will eventually fulfill it. That's its whole purpose. However, it then crash lands on an island where absolutely it's uninhabited by humans. In fact, it's a very beautiful post-apocalyptic world. Not to give too much spoilers. But it then gains a task of raising a small gosling, a task which is always constantly changing and is a nice metaphor for motherhood as well. Main character is called Roz. She is given a task that exponentially keeps changing, and as such, she needs to continue to change with it. And in order to do so, she has to fundamentally break herself and break her coding. And it's compared to, in a really nice way, to actually animal nature and the concept of, breaking what you were programmed to be in order to become someone better, someone kinder, and someone who can more appreciate the world. Which I think...
They stole our whole damn flow.
Bar for bar?
Bar
Word
for
word.
bar, word for word, our whole damn flow.
Mm.
What are you gonna do? I haven't seen
Sue.
the movie yet. Sue them.
Sue them, actually.
Sue them.
I just think it would be great research for you guys.
Mm.
And also, rather selfishly, I would love to watch it
Caitlin
again.
would like to watch the movie again.
Kino.
It's
So,
Kino.
what regular podcast segments do we have to get done before we can just go back to yapping about what we have watched and what we're going to watch?
We've said about the
We've done
weekly
what
stuff,
to do, what we will
who we
do,
are,
who we are, what
what
the
we
game
read
is.
and what we're going to read.
I haven't talked about what I'm doing this week.
Oh, you can do
Go
that.
then.
Go ahead.
This week, I've been, I crashed out for 1.5 days But that's fine. That's human nature. And today, I've been designing and developing the save load system for the game, in which you have a module that can save you from certain death if you have an anchor point saved in another one of your modules. This is important because we want it to be the final puzzle of the game to revolve around this. It was kind of the origin point for the whole concept back when we were referring to the title as Brain CD in the dark times that only Adam and maybe Liz knows about and nobody else, because Brain CD was an absolute hellish nightmare of a game that wasn't really a game. It was a bunch of different concepts.
It was an album cover that we liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was an album cover that we liked. Yep.
Imaginal Disc.
Imaginal Disc, thank you. And the concept behind. Well, I don't think I'm gonna say. Actually, I don't know if you deserve it. You need to finish the. You need to play the game. I need to finish the game before you can figure out the interesting thing that I wanted to do with the save load system. That is, if I can design an interesting enough puzzle around it.
If not, we'll talk about it later.
Guess the game will suck. Oh well.
Oops. So it's
Jaden,
free.
You're doing the WordPress this week.
I'm doing the WordPress this week. I've been working on it a little more today. I think probably by tomorrow. No, it wouldn't be, because we're at a thing tomorrow. Very soon, the website will be fully done. I'm just editing together the About Us page, seeing how many jokes I can fit in without it becoming awful looking. And then it'll be back to shaders and the actual in-game stuff.
That's exciting.
Instead of just like the Sisyphusian task of, I need to do a podcast.
So that's us.
That's us.
What are you two up to this week?
I'm in the same WordPress minds. As I described the hell that I'm going through, it will be the hell that I will go through. Separately, I need to get our Instagram properly up and running. I need to work out how to add audio to a video. That is a big bird.
I could tell you about
that was a
that.
heron, sorry. I got
Oh, a
excited.
heron!
Lovely.
I love herons. We used to have a big heron that would hang out near our house near the big river. What was
Very
a
nice.
small river?
Same
Who
for us.
knows?
I could teach you the ways of combining video and audio forms.
That would be lovely. I just need to put a single stock twinkling effect over a video.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be easy. I just haven't really dedicated time to it yet.
Get ready to install Premiere Pro, buddy.
So, Sylvie, would you describe yourself as WordPressed? Caitlin, what are you up to this week?
I'm similar space to you, except I'm in physical painting hell. Sorry, that is kind of making me laugh. I need to do a lot more watercolor prints and tests, and probably working pretty closely with Adam and Celeste. Celeste is the person who works in creative services, in order to laser cut those tiles for next week.
We've been doing a lot of interesting color testing. We're testing...
How do you mean color testing?
So, we're looking at how we want to paint the tiles. That's why we currently have lacquer tests going on our communal kitchen table.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it. I'll move them at some point.
Essentially, we've been doing lots of physical painting and putting a whole bunch of acrylics on them, just testing out different colours. I think we've done poster paints, varnish, a little bit of glow-in-the-dark paint, although that doesn't come out very well. Just anything and everything we can get our hands on in the studio to just kind of get a sense as to which direction we want to go for. So far, what we're liking, I believe, is really nice brown varnished tiles and no colour, because the rasterizing effect really darkens in colour once you put that varnish on top. Yes?
What does rasterizing mean in this context?
Rasterizing is the process of the wire going backwards and forwards over wood in a sort of zigzag formation, so you get a little indent that's a lot darker in colour and texturally different from the rest of the wood.
Quite so.
Yeah, it's basically, instead of just a full flat engraving, it has slight raises and dips to create more texture.
That sounds delightful.
It's very nice.
So that looks really pretty so far. And then the second is more similar to our paper prototypes, which is a straight black background with kind of splattered effect to look like stars, and the actual icons are coloured with their own specific shades, depending on their uses.
Ah.
Tremendous. Are we happy to end the real section of the podcast there?
Yeah?
Is there anything we've missed?
The mailbag.
The mailbag?
What is the mail
Do you have
bag?
any mail in the mailbag?
No.
Do you want to count down?
Contact at butterflymachine.online.
Yep.
Send your mail there.
Nice.
And if you want to contact us, send a message through the stars, ideally.
Make a wish on a shooting star under the full moon, and we'll get back to you.
That's a way better joke than we had. You could just do, oh, we have a wish from one of our listeners who says, what's for dinner? We're happy to end it there.